Mr. Bastola, do you have your material all up there and ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. The presentation for the 2025 preliminary budget. Next slide. Next slide. So this is the process that the Finance Department goes through with all the departments of the county. In August, we set up the budget for departments to submit their requests to division leaders. The court and administration and all the row officers review the budgets in September. They're submitted to Finance that starts to compile the preliminary budget for consideration by the commissioners. In October, Finance meets with all the departments of the county. We go through the requests, their line items one by one, all of their personnel requests, all of their new programs that they request for 2025. On November 27th, the preliminary budget was released. Tonight is the public budget hearing. Finance continues to work with the commissioners in modifying and adjusting the budget for adoption, which will take place in just over 2 weeks on December 18th. Next. A brief snapshot overview of the budget, just under $500 million of expenditures covered by just under $500 million of revenue. A small surplus of around $200,000 for 2025. Next. The proposed spending allocation, the breakdown is somewhat similar to last year. The major part encompasses the departments for health, housing, and human services, 52.6%, public safety, 26.2%, and then all the other administrative departments at 21.2%. Next slide. So the hard copy of the budget lists all the departments by division, but I wanted to put in these next two slides to outline the diversified services that the county provides in terms of public safety. The court-related row officers departments, all of the court departments, the correctional facilities, and all of the emergency services departments encompass all of the public safety that the county provides. That amounts to 26 different departments, around $190 million within the budget. Next slide. And then health, housing, human services, the health department in the Chamonix Manor, the home and community development programs, Opportunity Council, housing and emergency shelter, Veteran Affairs, and all the other human services departments. That encompasses the 14 departments as listed, around $380 million worth of the budget. Next. The sources of revenue broken down between the four segments. The state providing grants is the lion's share, $44.6 million. Taxes, real estate taxes, 32.1. Departmental revenue, fees for services, 14.3, and then the federal government provides 9%. Next. Two of the capital projects that are ongoing, the Diversion Assessment, Restoration, and Treatment Center in Doylestown Township. That's underway, paid for through behavioral health, reinvestment money, a grant that we got through Human Services and American Rescue Plan funding. That's going to be completed spring, summertime frame next year. And then, next slide. The Lower Bucks campus, the government service, Lower Bucks Government Service Center, that's slated for completion either late 25 or early 26. And that's just a rendering of what that campus is going to look like upon completion. Next slide. So, like I said, the budget is presented as no tax increase, just under $500 million revenue and expenses with a small surplus. There are The departmental revenues are broken down by divisions, by departments by divisions. I guess if any of the commissioners have any questions, I can answer any specific questions on any of the line items, or if the public has any questions, I can answer any questions. That would be my presentation.
Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Harvey?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner DiGirolamo?
Yeah, just one, Dave, and I think I remember talking about this, our fund balance. How much will we be carrying, accounting for to fund the fund balance, like our,
So it's anticipated, the budget summary that's presented, the actual budget adjusted for 23 results is just over $67 million. I'm anticipating that 2024 operations will result in the black, and anticipated that there might be around a $1 million increase in fund balance to $68 million. We are still putting together October, November, December's, the fourth quarter results. We won't really know where we end up with operations well into 25, but my best guess is around $1 million to the positive for 2024.
okay, thank you.
And I don't have any other questions. Let me just say that we don't normally take questions or public comment in this meeting, but since Mr. Boscola did offer, is there any questions from anyone who is attending?
And if you do, come on up.
Yeah, Commissioner Warren has a question.
I wasn't sure of the procedure, so I did have a couple questions. First, the statement, it never, ever ceases to amaze and frustrate me. You all are about to vote on a $500 million expenditure of tax dollars, and there's two people from the public here. Heaven forbid a commission, an elected official do something untoward, and it's backed up to who tied the pup. We got to get citizens interested enough to show up when you're spending money, from this humble opinion. Let me just answer a couple points. I think one you've already answered. For sake of my discussion, I numbered my pages. The cover is page 1, and then each page after that up to 8. On the inside, what would be my page 2, right inside cover, and it says the 2024 adopted budget, 2025 preliminary budget, and these are budget comparisons. This doesn't state what was spent in 2024, correct? You just said that, right?
This is budget comparisons.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that, just so we understand it. On that same page, just for clarification, under revenue, human services is we're 4.4 million more this year for 4.7%, and expenditure for human services is 4.8 million, roughly the same thing. Turning over to page 3, corrections. How do you get an income? People aren't paying. Well, are other counties paying to get for the funds? We've got 42% increase in revenue on the correctional facility. What was the cause of that? Not the cause of that, what generated it? On page 4, departmental revenues, Roman numeral 10, human services, item number 174. It says human services admin. Is that administrator or is that people or is that the whole office? That's a 28% increase. And I just was wondering whether that's because we expect to hire more people or what. On page 5, the gifts that keep on giving, 1,400, 5,500, 5,700, 5,800. All of those no county match grants are, by quick calculation, 26, $30 million less coming in next year than this year. So somewhere in here, in this budget, there's got to be, I'm asking, not telling, there's got to be $30 million of savings somewhere because we're getting 30 million less. On page 6, Roman numeral 1, item number 121. What was ERP again? Those initials, and the human resources. Now note, 125. Human resources this time is 19.7% up. These are expenditures, so when I say up, we're spending more. And again, item number 100 on that, 17% up. Particularly 125. What is the, or actually 121 and 125 particularly, what generates the increase of expenditures? And my last one is on page 8, the last page, item number, Roman numeral 10, item numbers. 174, once again, that question, human services admin. Are they people or processes? Thank you.
You want me to handle all of these? Okay. You are correct. For the Department of Corrections, the majority of the cost of corrections is through tax dollars, but they do receive grants for certain things within. This is a grant that they received. The increase is because of a grant that they received to cover some of the improvements to the prison. It's Human Services Administration. The revenue and the expense are going up a related amount. The co-responder program is through the Human Services Administration Department. So we're utilizing opioid money and other funding to cover an increase in the co-responder program. There's more co-responders that cover more of the area of the county. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. The county is transitioning from on-premise applications to a cloud-based application that will come with an increased cost, but over the life of the software will be a savings in hard costs that are on-premise. Our Lawson products that we bought back in 2007, 2008, Lawson was acquired by Infor, and we're now going to the next generation of Infor products. Our ERP covers finance, budgeting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, HR, all of our financials in the county. I'm sorry. Okay. HR, its personnel cost mostly increase. They were part of the adjustment to the, help me out here.
Federal's Fair Labor Standard.
Yes. They're exempt employees, and the threshold of the Federal Labor Standards Act increased their salaries, and the other salaries also increased to make them more comparable to other positions within the county, but then also to abide by that act, the change to the act. Salaries, yes. For under administrative, there's an increase, you said, of 17.9%. That's the allowance for COLAs for the bargaining units that have not settled yet. There are increases in COLAs for the 2 bargaining units that settled in 2024. There are 16 other bargaining units that haven't settled yet. Some are going to arbitration. Some may be on the agenda shortly. That allowance in there is to cover anticipated COLAs for 25. And with the non-county match departments, with the reduction in revenue, there is also a reduction, a $31 million reduction in expenditures. That's money that the county receives for specific purposes that can only be spent on those purposes, and it's money in, money out. So the majority of that is the reduction of the American Rescue Plan money, $26 million, as we phase that out and spend down that money in 25 and 26. All those monies are encumbered. We're just going through the contracts and going through the spend down through the next 2 years.
Mr. Sherman? Mr. Sherman has a question.
We're kind of exceeding our 3-minute limit here, you guys.
I don't think I did. In any event, I'm looking through these figures. I don't see anything in here regarding pension expenses, COLAs, anything like that. Can somebody answer the question? Where is it hiding in here?
It's not hiding. The retirement ARC, the annual retirement contribution, as in all other benefits, are assigned as a benefit to all employees and allocated per employee. So those benefits and the cost of those benefits are in every department that have employees.
I wondered. But the question is, every time we talk about this in retirement board meeting, is that any COLA has to come out of the general fund. Where would that be allocated, since all of us are no longer employees, we're retirees?
The benefit is attributed to a cost per employee, so there is, right. Well, it's allocated according to current employees. So there is an allocation of an annual retirement contribution, what the county is expected to expend in 2025 for the pension, and that number divided by around 2,400 employees is allocated per employee to each one of the departments.
That's the actuarially required contribution to maintain the pension.
Yes.
My question is regarding a cost of living adjustment, which is something different. So seeing nothing in there, I might assume that there is not one budgeted for.
Well, there, go ahead.
We have a few weeks to go, so we're re-voting on the budget, so we will still be considering and looking at it and seeing if it's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, we can conclude the meeting for today then. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Sorry about some of the technical difficulties, but thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.